Hey everyone, this is Coach Dave March here, and this is another episode of the Growth Mindset Podcast. And if you're just joining in for the first time here, um, I'm your host, Coach Dave March, author of Vision in Action, and really just looking to help others tell their story. And today we have a special guest, Derek. Derek has a company called Better You, and he's an advocate for mental health, and he's pioneering a brand new way to help people with mental health issues to find help and find new therapies. Derek, tell us tell us more about you and tell the audience about what you got going on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for having me and for the important work that you're doing. My name is Derek Du Chesne, and if you asked me 6 or 7 years ago, I would have never thought that I would be in mental health care. I was in a healthcare adjacent kind of side of things prior, and when I was going through life and as its ups and downs pre-pandemic, I went through something. I had a really good run for a few years, and I went through something, two things that were very traumatic to me within a short period of time, and that led me to going to seek help for my mental health. And the help that I got was take this pill and come back in a month and see if you feel better. If that doesn't work, increase the dosage or take another pill. And that made things significantly worse for me over the next few months. And that led me to becoming suicidal. And something that really helped me out of that funk, kind of just snapped me out of it and changed my mindset and changed my perspective, was ketamine therapy. There was a lot of challenges with that at the time. It was $1,500 a session. It was primarily being done by anesthesiologist offices that don't really have any training in mental health. And I didn't really see it as a way to help others, but it's something that really helped me. I was also kind of ashamed of it at the time. I looked at my depression and my burnout and suicidal ideation as a weakness and just a dark phase that I went through. Flash forward, a few months later, the pandemic hits, and I saw a lot of other people that probably were going through something similar with their personal relationships or their businesses had taken a significant shift or impact. And when that happens, as everything in life, is subject to can and will change, that you need to make sure that you have a good foundation. And so when I saw other people that were potentially in similar situations that I was at, and I felt it was my responsibility to help them with their mental health and also give them more affordable, accessible, and wraparound care for ketamine therapy, because I do believe it's life-saving medicine for certain things. And so that was kind of the inception, genesis of Better You. And since then, over the years, we've evolved into holistic wellness, and so incorporating everything from your sexual health to your weight to your nutrition to your psychiatry. I think a big problem with psychiatric care is overprescribing and overdiagnosing. So we created a holistic psychiatry program to help people wean off of medications that are no longer serving them. And yeah, we're a holistic wellness company trying to help people reconnect with themselves.
Oh, fantastic! I mean, it's really amazing the work you're doing. I mean,
Thank you.
especially you know, the idea of it being more affordable and accessible. I think those are the main pieces of it. Um, when it comes down to really just the whole medical health, mental health, all this kind of stuff, it's very confusing. And I think
Mhm.
that especially when you're in a down time and you're trying to find like the right therapist or trying to do all these things, like you already feel like you want to give up, and that's the difficulty of it, the difficulty of being so hard to access kind of
Mhm.
brings you down even further.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even when you do receive care, it could be 3 months, could be 4 months before you get in to see a psychiatrist. And And when you do see them, a lot of times, the psychiatrist doesn't even make eye contact with you, or it kind of feels like you're on a conveyor belt, and they're kind of you fill out a survey, check some boxes. Based off of that survey, they prescribe you medications. And while it can be helpful for some people, for me, it made me worse. And so, really, and yeah, cost prohibitive too, especially if you look at just ketamine therapy. When I went in for my session, it was $1,500 for one treatment.
Just one
And
treatment. Just one.
just one treatment. Yeah. And I grew up in a little farm town in Wisconsin where people don't spend $100 on their mental health, much less $1,500. So I
Yeah.
wanted to also in giving people the opportunity and support and programming around what do you do the days after your sessions, between your sessions, and kind of a blueprint to help you retrain your brain and replace negative thoughts with positive ones and living in a place of gratitude and reflection. And that is, I think, critical for anyone's mental health support. And a lot of times when you go see a psychiatrist, they're not talking about your habits, your self-talk, your nutrition, and there's no magic pill that's going to replace the essentials of happiness, right? Which is sunshine and sweating and social connection and good food, right? So there's nothing that's going to replace that. So I think that giving people a roadmap and structure and guidance and also multiple different options, right? Maybe this won't work for you, so let's try a different modality. Let's try a different type of thing, and because everybody's trauma is different, and everybody's healing is different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's it's so interesting when you talk about that, and specifically kind of the idea of nutrition, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
doctors and psychiatrists, they're not they're not there to really tell you about better nutrition. I mean, like, like in some of the pills that you'll get, pharmaceutical pills, it'll say something like, don't take this with a lot of grapefruit juice or some other type of like strong citrus. So it's funny how they recognize the importance of it when it can negatively infect the medicine that they offer you, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize the importance just in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's it's like,
Yeah, if it affects the absorption of the medication, or if it's a contraindication, then it's important. But you know how
yeah,
much time that, and I'm talking the best schools in the country. I'm talking Stanford, Johns Hopkins. You know how much time psychiatrists spend on, or how much time they get trained on nutrition?
how much?
On a standard psychiatric residency or standard psychiatric program, the most that I've heard of is 4 hours. And yeah, out of all their schooling, all their training, the most they receive is 4 hours focused on nutrition. But you know how much of our mental health comes from our nutrition? A lot of it. So it's there's definitely a major disconnect there. And I think that as opposed to having to go to 6 or 7 different doctors and 6 or 7 different therapists to find the modality, you should be able to go to one organization and have kind of a triage and assess your mental health state and where you're at and say, hey, here's the lifestyle changes that we need to make. Here's some nutritional changes we need to make. Here's, if necessary, some psychiatric intervention or some medications that we can try. But, and also putting a time limit on those things, because so many people that we connect with and work with, let's say I'm on antidepressants or I'm on Xanax or benzos, and I've been on them for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years because I lost someone or because I had unbelievable anxiety or because I had this or that. And these are meant to be temporary psychiatric interventions and not meant to be a life sentence most of the time. And so helping people recalibrate and reconnect with themselves and live their lives without that medication a lot of times is very challenging without professional support. So it's something that we really strive to help people become the best version of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. I mean, I didn't know that it was actually only 4 hours. It's really interesting.
Bizarre, right?
I was like, I didn't know it was really that low. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy because like that's a profession that has the most education. Like there's so much education, so many years of education you need to go through. I think it's more than a PhD. I think it's more
Hmm.
than a PhD to get an MD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
R-
You know, it's a
Yeah.
lot of schooling, it's a lot of training, but the curriculums are written by pharmaceutical companies a lot of the times,
So
and
all those years, and only 4 hours. I mean, how many
mhm.
hours are in a year?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
you'd think
it's
that.
like 0.0001% of their
Mhm.
curriculum.
Yeah, I think that a psychiatrist should have more training around functional medicine and naturopathic medicine to be able to provide more value to their patients.
Yeah, it's shocking, and it's really one of the points that you did mention that I think was really important. Um, having gratitude, having
Hmm.
gratitude is really important, and just going through daily life, if you don't just sit down or sometimes I just like to lay down and, you know, realize how, grateful I am. And that in and of itself can be quite helpful because
Hmm.
you're it's like you can to a certain extent, right? You can really build up your own life through these kind of practices, your daily, gratefulness journaling and
Hmm.
these type of things, and it's like that with the grapefruit juice or whatever kind of fruits and vegetables you want to take is like what couple bucks, right? It's like
Hmm.
what, like $5 to get a pen and a journal. Maybe it's $7 to get some juice. Uh, it's not
Yeah,
1,500.
yeah, no, yeah, it's taking that time to reflect and taking that time to every day take inventory of all the things that happened and that you want to happen in your life, and putting more intention into the positive, and more attention and intention into what you want to bring into your life, and gratitude for what we have, right? Because we all suffer from the human condition where we set these goalposts. Once I hit X, I will be happy. Once I achieve X, I will be happy. If I only had X, I will be happy. And then we get them. We achieve these personal goals or relationship goals or financial goals, and suddenly the goalpost moves. And then it happens again. And it happens again. So being content and grateful for what you have, and recognizing your blessings is I think is a critical part of anybody's mental health and long term happiness.
Totally. Yeah, you got to count your blessings, as they say.
Yes,
Um,
yes, exactly.
count your blessings. Yeah. And it's funny. You can use that as for right now. I don't know why, but I'm I'm thinking. You can hear that in the sense of like a gangster saying, "You better count your blessings" in a bad way, but then you can also say the same exact phrase in a positive way about like counting your blessings. It's like it's all about perspective, really. It's really
Hmm.
what it's all about. And so as we kind of talk about this and everything, um, give me a little bit more detail on how people can reach you, how people can, what what's like some procedures, maybe some costs or something like that, so that people can understand. Um, if they're watching this, be like, I want to talk to this guy. It sounds
Hmm.
like the thing for me. Like,
Yeah,
give
absolutely.
me some more detail there.
Yeah, so if you're interested in holistic wellness and psychiatric, holistic psychiatry or integrative psychiatry, at-home ketamine therapy, peptides, clinical weight loss, sexual health, any of those types of things, if you're interested in any of those things, go to betterucare.com. So it's better and just the letter U, care.com. And or our socials are all at betterucare. And the pricing, if you're doing holistic psychiatry, it's about $99 a month. It's $199 for the first month. For ketamine therapy, it used to be, like I said, for in-office treatments. When I had my first one personally, it was $1,500 for one session. That's come down to about $500 a session for IV or IM injections across the country. We're going to go up to 1,000. We've made our at-home program where it's only $99 per session. So a big part of what we set out to do was make this more accessible, more affordable. And we've been able to achieve that tenfold while providing people wraparound support and care from certified integration coaches, therapists, clinicians, et cetera. So that is our core our core services is ketamine therapy and holistic psychiatry. If you want to reach out to me personally, on LinkedIn, it's Derek Du Chesne, and the same as my socials. It's Derek Du Chesne, which is DUCHESNE.
Oh, great. I mean, that's unbelievable. Really, you were able to really bring it down dramatically. I wasn't expecting you to say that low.
Yeah, no, we brought it down 10x, and I think with innovation, a great technology stack, and creating programs and mental health care programs. We invested in a lot in creating wraparound care. So if somebody comes to us, if they're looking for moving on from grief, if they're a veteran and they're reintegrating back into society, and after being deployed, if it's somebody that if you're going through a divorce and life transitions, if you we've got all kinds of different programs from those to sexual trauma, reconnecting with your inner child, and so those are all kind of self-guided programs and exercises that we can work with on our own. But our program also incorporates that daily reflection and gratitude practice.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, this has been great. Thanks so much for jumping on the podcast here. I think that this is going to bring a lot of value to my viewers and to anyone that watches this. Um, you know, as we end this podcast episode here, uh, is there anything you want to add? Maybe a quote from one of your favorite books, or something like that.
Um, a quote from one of my favorite books. Something, and I don't know if this had any inspiration to the name, but one of my favorite quotes is, "When you know better, you do better." And that I think was applicable to me at a time when I grew up in a little farm town in Wisconsin, and I came from a lot of negative, toxic surroundings, and and also was following leads and paths in my life that maybe or having habits in my life of things that weren't serving me, and like for example, to do anything in Wisconsin, alcohol's involved, and there's just a lot of kind of negativity, negative conversations, and kind of small-minded thinking. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, when I was 18 or so, started hanging out with other people, and I realized that uh, just because this was my limited scope of the world had nothing to do with what the world really is, and being more open and receptive to new information. And I think that that's the entire power of self-awareness, kind of distilled into one simple truth. Like when people are oftentimes triggered or angry or rude or mean, it's they don't a lot of times they don't know any better, or they don't know how they're coming across, because if they did, don't know if they would show up that way. And and uh yeah and I think that it's a very simple and easy quote that's kind of stuck with me over the years, and probably subconsciously was part of the better
Better
you
you. Yeah.
naming. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that sounds good. So when you know better, you can do better. All right. Well,
Yes.
thanks for your words of wisdom, Derek, and thanks for joining the podcast here. For now, we will say goodbye, but who knows? You might come back again on another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, Dave.
Thank you. Okay, bye bye.